upon short, and Endpoint only need to hold this one away for 20 or so seconds. Surreal's Deagle is at the ready. There is a scout on the floor, but doesn't need it as they submerge onto Spellen, leaving this a 2 versus 3, and SKADE, they're just running out of time. They barely got any seconds on the board to make this one work. There's that lonely defuse kit, but Oxygen has to fall away, trying to eliminate the AK-47 before he falls, and the bomb doesn't take him with him. So 1-1, Endpoint, that's a massively successful A-take.
It absolutely is. Some real nice damage there from Oxygen at the end for him to make sure that Endpoint don't salvage any rifles into the next. But yeah, very, very swift stuff there from Endpoint. A little bit of a mistake for SKADE to give up that short control. Really gave Endpoint a ticket in there, especially considering they won all of those initial aim duels. Nonetheless, SKADE here in round number 3 are actually going to invest once again. The Deagles and a couple of rifles to work with. But it doesn't matter all too much when duplicates hitting openers like that.
Massively impactful frag to start off the killing over towards A long. It's a salvaged AK-47, quite the big deal for SKADE, playing this with only the M4A4 in the FAMAS in hand. As Endpoint go back to their favourite, it's of course short control, with all 4 players showing up to the party. Crucial just tailing the pack there. Plenty of utility here for Endpoint, a couple of smokes to aid this cross. Of course, they'll be sending Surreal in first, just to peek through that one way. Isn't going to receive anything at the minute mark, but there seems to be the push for Endpoint. Molotov's on through, and Spellen right in the back line, so is able to sweep away the MAC-10, and there's a second for his troubles. Bomb shouldn't go down here, but Mighty Max and Surreal, they've got other ideas, M&J. Denny needs to connect some of these Deagle shots to stop this C4 from being planted, but Mighty Max slaps those digits in. That smoke might actually favor this T side. Gives Surreal a really up close and personal angle. Mighty Max is there to receive the firefight as well. Up close with the Galil, knows that there's a second man to receive the action. As Spellen is forced back, Mighty Max now in the open. He needs to connect this shot, and he's unable to do so. AK salvaged, and there's the defuse.
A very nice recovery there from SKADE. I thought they'd made the same mistake twice when they gave up that short control. But the wrap once again from Spellen. He's able to find himself 3 in the round and put a real spanner in the works for Endpoint. And so far, these two teams are just inseparable. We saw a full 30-round slog of a game on Mirage. And now moving straight on to Dust 2, they trade rounds back and forth. And looking at round number 4, it's actually going to be another full investment here from Endpoint.
Phenomenal. And SKADE, they bring it right back. Endpoint struggling to chain together rounds at the start of this T side, but they're not going to give up on this one yet. 3 Deagles. Of course, that Galil in the hand of Mighty Max. I always love to see a rifle in his hands. Showed us so much impact there on Mirage, and looking to do so again on their map pick.
A nice grenade. Doesn't quite connect for all too much damage. Endpoint, they're really showing their cards. SKADE should know that there's 2 to 3 players over towards this mid-doors area, and as they start to push up towards short, it's surely going to be anticipated by SKADE at this point. Denny now actually playing from the site rather than supporting his teammate on long, and he's got the angle on short. Should be able to deal with it if Endpoint do decide to push through. But with the reinforcements coming in, Crucial's got a mammoth task on his hands to find these initial shots, and for now it's not happening.
They need to check this corner instead. Endpoint pile driving in, one after one, giving Denny loads of isolated picks. And there's no bomb down finally for Endpoint. Flames piping in, the only kill's worth of damage they found this round. And there's Spellen to eliminate him. 3-1 SKADE.
That was a much cleaner round. We've seen some very, very messy stuff. These 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2 situations. Now SKADE have actually managed to pick up quite a comfortable one. It forces Endpoint right down to this eco as well, so they should be able to pick up their 4th here and build up that economy a little bit further. I'd love to see Spellen on this Nova. I'm not sure what he's got planned for it. If it gets some kills, I'll be very happy. Oh. Hey.
So awkward. Anytime you miss the first shot on that Nova, it's so hard to scramble back and find the frag. Luckily, he's only against a Glock, and Mighty Max is unable to capitalize.
It's made my day. I love to see those Nova kills, even against the Glocks. Even against the Glocks. This should be a really clean round for them, though. I don't actually think they'll take any casualties here. And as I said before, just gives them a real nice opportunity to get that cash flowing, and that's really what you need on this CT side.
Remember, this Nova is an ATM, and if Spellun finds 2 kills, such heavy kill bonus there. He's up to $7,300. Even throws away that shotgun as well. In replacement for that M4A4, AWP in the hands of Denny, and this is a full wholesome buy for SKADE.
It really is, and with the cash behind them as well to do it again if needs be, Endpoint are in a pretty sticky situation. They have to try and win this one, and then even if they do so, they have to do it again. Once again, this default all around the map. Flames in the long tunnels, wants to try and weed out some early aggression, but with Surreal in middle. SKADE just aren't giving them anything.
No leg room. Endpoint can only kind of rummage onto short. They're held at an arm's length, and with Crucial finding that first headshot, Denny, that AWP has been ripped out of the server. Can certainly be picked by Crucial here. He's going to want to contend for this long control, and with Oxygen stood out in the open, that's a very compromised position. Might leave SKADE with only one option, saving.
It's definitely the right call to make. You don't want to be pushing in for a 3 versus 5 retake, especially when you've got the low ground. It's looking like Endpoint are actually going for the hunt here, which is quite bizarre to see considering they really don't have any cash behind them. This could be an opportunity with saving all 5 rifles to actually have minimal reinvestments going into the next and sort of patch up that economy. I think Robin realizes that. Spots out the player in the back of the B-bomb site. He now knows that they're going for this save, and he doesn't really want any more to do with it. He's going to fall away, and this is going to be a flawless round for Endpoint. Really nice stuff.
That's the compromise, the handshake that both of these teams fall into, where neither roster can actually expense any of those rifles. Maybe Endpoint pour into that B-bomb site right there and lose everybody. It's the hardest site to take in Counter-Strike for my money, especially with that triple defense posted. SKADE fortunately able to survive with these 3 rifles in hand. AWP back in the hands of Denny once again. He lost that very early on short last round, and really doesn't want that to happen once again. He's given that sniper away to Crucial, and remember that's investment that Endpoint would have ordinarily made. That would have been $5,000 going the other way, but salvaging that sniper, it's really cost efficient.
Oh, the bullets through the smoke. Land bang on. Don't quite convert the kill, though. Once again, we just see this pretty standard default from Endpoint. You kind of have this down to the T here on Dust 2, but it's not worked out all too well for them in the last few rounds. Perhaps in the last, but the 3 prior, they seem to get caught out one by one. Now they go for this short stack once again. And they have to land this initial kill onto Denny to manage to weed their way in. And Robin takes an engagement in the tunnels. Doesn't go his favor, though, and that's going to be the man advantage for SKADE.
But the action is towards this A-bomb site, and Duplicate reads that one perfectly. Mighty Max gets his head torn off, and now Flames has to be the saving grace. Needs to contend into Goose, and that's such a fast shot from Denny. Able to take away the young gun, leaves it all down to Crucial looking for a quad kill here on the A-bomb site. C4 in the open, wants to contend this angle onto Oxygen once again, but both of these CTs have crept closer. Rainwaker isolating his way onto short, and that crossfire is flawless for 5.
It really is. This seems to be SKADE's strong point here on Dust 2. As soon as those initial pushes come through, sometimes they find the first man, sometimes they don't, but it doesn't matter all too much. What's really important is the way that they react to it. They fall away, and then they group up together at the end, and they flawlessly execute that retake. 5-2, Endpoint now back onto their reserve cash. They can pull out another full investment, but at the rate that we're going at, it's looking like SKADE might be able to take a really strong half here on Dust 2.
What's really unfortunate for Endpoint right now is both of these teams actually have around a 40% win rate on the CT side of Dust 2. Both teams around the 60% marker for their terrorist side. Endpoint need to step up sooner rather than later, and it has to be fast, flashy frags like this from Surreal to really push them forward. Endpoint, again contending for this short control. This must be red. I think they're playing right into SKADE's hands right now. 3 players towards this pointy letter, and Denny, looking for the frags with this AWP. What a shot onto Surreal. Barely sees a whisker and able to shoot him right out of the server. Crucial there for the trade. And the C4 instantly goes away before this retake. And is it one that SKADE even want to push the way into? I don't think so. Spellen's got that secondary AWP in hand. Wants to fall into the clutches of this B site. I don't think that Endpoint can play this one too aggressively for the Hunts either, considering their money is null and void.
Absolutely wrist-snapping flick to kick things off from Denny, but he just can't convert any more than that. And when you've got that AWP and you're the last line of defense on the A site, you absolutely need more. That's going to be the third here for Endpoint, keeping 4 alive again. He's going to mean that, yeah, they can start to build up that bank. This has really been an issue. They win themselves around, they maybe get a little bit of cash from it, but then as soon as they buy up again in the next, it seems to be stripped away from them. SKADE, they've managed to retrieve that AWP. They've got the M4 going into the next. It's a really shaky economic situation. I'm not surprised a pause comes through here. They really have to work out what they want to go for, because they can drop that AWP over to Rainwaker, and then maybe he buys up an M4 for someone. I think they'll definitely invest here, but it's not going to be the healthiest of buys.
No, just like you, I really do like this tactical timeout. This is a moment where they can reset this Endpoint economy. We can see that the cash hasn't had an opportunity to build up before this buy. Only a couple of $1,000 in the bank accounts for this British organisation. Instead, SKADE, they're also down to their last legs as far as that money's concerned, Josh. And, well, looking at this round will effectively be worth 2. I think the Endpoint might be able to squeak out a buy in the next if they do enough damage in this one. But this is definitely an important pivot round.
This lack of utility on SKADE might cost them. Of course, they've got nothing offensive here. Not a single Molotov. Only that one HE on Spellan that goes completely to waste. And now it's only a single smoke and 6 flashbangs to try and hold out the attackers. And with a minute and a half left on this clock, Endpoint are certainly going to capitalize on that.
This is exactly what they need to do. Put constant pressure towards the middle of the map. Make SKADE scared to go for these rotates. We see still 3 players towards the A site, and Denny forced off the angle by a nicely timed Mighty Max flash.
With this smoke going up, we've seen it plenty of time. Do they commit to it, though? As they throw that bomb back, they might actually try and go for a B split here. Surreal's just the fake man dancing around this smoke. It can provide him all the cover he needs. Denny can't spot him out. They can't find this initial pick, though. Duplicate still hungry for more. Can't get himself that, though. As he falls, the smoke goes up, and now they can wrap around to the B site.
SKADE have been completely held at an arm's length, and Denny actually aided by the flashbang, only going to trade 1-for-1, and Spellen's the next to fall. Unfortunately, the bomb is dropped in the open, and they have to contend with the MVP Rainraker over towards the middle of the map, and with oxygen supplying and providing the flank, there's no way for Endpoint. They get choked inside that B bomb site, and despite a couple of flashy entries, it all falls SKADE's way.
And the reset opportunity is not seized, as SKADE now are able to fully invest once again, have a little bit of cash behind them, and now they've got the full utility. That's really what they were hoping for here. And you can't really say the same for Endpoint. Only a Deagle on flames, robbing down to that Mac 10. I really want to see a change of pace from them. Something a little bit quicker, something a little bit different.
It seems like the Endpoint strat book is incredibly light. Right now, I think they've gone towards short at least 7 of these previous rounds, and SKADE with this AAA stack just seems to be eating it up perfectly.
Oh, nade as well, dealing tons of damage. That's going to make things complicated for Endpoint.
There's just no way to avoid that as well. Endpoint have been placing at least 3 players upon short almost every single time, and SKADE just throwing those nades. Endpoint gobbling up that damage. It's the smokes to drop away, And Endpoint back to basics. This short take, which SKADE have nicely dealt with many times in the past. And at the minute mark, it's Denny again, dancing around those smokes, finding that all-important opening, and then you've got Duplicate to eat and munch away the rest. He's still not done any damage. The Molotov does force the AWP out, but he's able to find one in the meantime, doing loads of damage to Surreal, and even with a retrieved AK-47 for Flames, he is clutching at straws to do any extra damage there on the A site.
Rainwaker in the back lines, adding complications to things. Flames is able to trade it out and gets himself another as well. With 56 points of health, he can actually wrap around to this B site, and this becomes very, very doable.
A game of cat and mouse, but this cross becomes the hardest moment, which Oxygen is able to choke him away from. 7-3.
Yeah, the doors being flipped around there certainly doesn't do him any favors. Now it's going to be the eco from Endpoint. This isn't really something that we've seen. It feels like every single round they've either gone for some kind of forced investment or maybe they go for those pistols in Kevlar. Here, they haven't got any cash to bring into this. Couple of P250s is the absolute maximum that we'll be seeing. And this should mean that SKADE can put themselves onto 8 early on.
Jeez.
Ooh.
That is a peak that I don't see very often. I love it from Flames, living up to his name.
That takes balls to walk straight into the flames with no Kevlar as well.
That takes fireproof shoes.
It does. It does. Maybe he's just used to it. That's where the nickname comes from. Of course, only the Glocks and that weapon not retrievable at all. So doesn't really have all too much of an impact, but you certainly love to see it. And it does some damage as well to SKADE right now, which is all that Endpoint are really hoping for here in the 11th.
Should be a very simple closer from the AK-47 SMG combination. Rainwaker wants to back off and not give away another rifle. Of course, at the minute mark, just allowing Spellin to farm up that cash. Instead, he receives a shot between the eyeballs. Just Rainwaker now to prevent this B-site aggression. Of course, he's got the support from Duplicate. And on 36 HP... still quite a ballsy play here against Robin and does get punished. So another shot and Endpoint, an acceptable round there. 3 frags, it's certainly good enough. It keeps the SKADE economy honest. Everybody lingering around the 3,000 mark before this triple rifle investment comes through in round number 12.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty exceptional retake. Not retake, sorry. A pretty exceptional eco there from Endpoint. They didn't even have a flash or anything to work with. They just had all the Glocks, couple of P250s. They managed to get 3 kills, make that one real costly for SKADE. And you can see by the looks of their bank account that that was not a fun round for them. A very, very nice early pick from Spellan. The B-hop to get around the corner and have the timing impeccable. That gives them that man advantage. Goes untraded as well as Flames is looking to try and even out the numbers, but he can't do so. 5 versus 3, and we're only 20 seconds into this round.
It really does feel like Endpoint have almost run out of options already. I love that nade just to force the AK-47 forward. Makes it unretrievable for Endpoint. Of course, they don't want one. Instead, it's the trade up for Oxygen, as they still do have a real solid hold of this A-bomb site. The nade, it'll be a little bit early, but definitely a telltale sign of what's to come. Certainly ready to receive this information is Duplicate. Although he's low on HP, already a kill to his name as we get to the 50-second mark. And again, it's the same default here for the British organisation. They'll be taking short control and trying to contend this headshot angle first. And it's crucial. Beautiful shot. Can't follow up. That's down to Robin, as the A site is under Endpoint control. It's still a 2 versus 3. Bomb tap down, smoke away as well, buying Robin a little bit of space. But with SKADE coming from all angles, this Mighty Max confrontation, he loses. And that really puts the pressure on the Swede's shoulders. Robin needs to get aggressive. It's the AK-47 to drop first. He even finds the second before slipping into the smoke to try and contend against Denny. But he's just a little too quick on the angle. Surviving on 19 points of health. That's another great round from SKADE.
The retake was really hot and heavy there from SKADE. As soon as Endpoint took control of that A site, they were in within seconds. And, wow, it got a bit messy. Robin definitely put up a exceptional fight, but it just wasn't quite good enough. Only getting Denny down to 19 HP. couldn't quite finish him off. That's going to be 9-3 now for SKADE, and this is starting to get quite dominant. This CT side looking pretty exceptional. We saw the same as well on Mirage, actually. They found a huge amount of rounds on their CT side, but really struggled on their T-half. Let's see if that translates here over on Dust 2.
It's Spellin to receive this information first. The flashbang isn't going to connect, but the second one certainly does. Triple kill from SKADE as they force Endpoint right away from these long double doors. As soon as the T's try and change things up, SKADE are more than ready to receive. This will certainly be double digits. And going into round number 14 with 2 further rounds to play with, I'm expecting this to go even more one-sided here. How do Endpoint respond?
I'm not sure, I think is the simple answer to that question. Crucial only down on 7 points of health. Mighty Max with this Galil in hand. They're opting for this B site. It might be the right answer, but they've still got 2 men to face up against. And with this AWP in the hand of Denny as well, posted on this angle, he's just going to dispose of these Ts very swiftly. Gets that first shot. Smoke's going to go up, but Crucial surely on borrowed time here, and there we go. Perfectly placed nade at his feet, and he's not going to be allowed any more. SKADE put themselves onto 10, and Endpoint, once again, what can they pull into this one?
Looking like a very wonky buy. Just the pistols for the Ts. Couple of deagles there. Robin with his Tech 9 Crucial as well. This is surely going to be an 11th for SKADE. We know that these pistols can sometimes snowball something out of control, and going for long control here, the flash is through, and how much does SKADE want to contend with this one? Flames does find the first, but Duplicate's holding up the line. There's a sea of Molotovs out in the open, and with Surreal contending for mid-control, he really needed both of those frags to contend that B-bomb site. With Spellin gone, that would have really opened up the curly letter. Surely would have been an easy plant, but Endpoint, they change up matters. It's back to that classic short take. And I think SKADE are going to be ready for this.
It's certainly something that we sometimes see, but Endpoint seem to be quite confident with these deagle rounds, hitting these headshots, opening things up, and now as they go over towards this B site, they've found that all-important kill onto Spellan. It gives them the leg room, and it allows them to get this C4 down, and as they take these post plants, this is a very winnable round for them.
The one difference maker is the fact that Denny has an AWP for this retake and no retrievable rifle before the flash comes through. He's going to have to hit some sensational shots, and there is one of them. Denny needs another. Robin, he stood at the back of this bomb site, the overseer of the C4, as he connects with the headshot. That's Endpoint onto 4, an all-important 2v2 clutch for Robin and co.
That is incredibly unfortunate. I feel Denny actually connects the shot, but through the barrel, which isn't penetrable. That came right down to the wire. Only a couple of points remaining as well on Endpoint as the round finishes, but 10-4 nonetheless. And a pretty shaky buy from SKADE in the final round of the half. Crucial. First time in a while seems to be going for this early pick on long, but the flash is going to force him right back. Can't connect anything. And yeah, with a minute 30 on this clock, nothing too exciting happening just yet.
Certainly feels like Endpoint are struggling to find those opening picks. You talked about the lack of Crucial towards long with that AWP. That's usually a telltale sign. As soon as the AWP gets that long spawn, you'd expect him to be dashing towards that side of the map. And once again, it is a frag, but only traded through. SKADE, they've already established a double-digit scoreline. That could have certainly been a collateral. Crucial doing loads of damage, but still a one-man advantage for the Bulgarians.
Kalat there would have been a tide turner, but instead it's only the one. The man advantage still firmly in SKADE's favour, and as they're slowly but surely starting to retrieve these fallen rifles as well, it makes it quite a bit harder for Endpoint to take this A-bomb site. They're creeping up long, and they do have an avenue, especially with this smoke in hand. That Molotov's going to clear out oxygen, and there's no CT smoke to clear it. Is it not spreading? Finally, it spreads, and as he peeks, he hits the headshot as well. That is absolutely tragic.
That's sensational. Unfortunately, they leave Flames in a 1 versus 1. And where's he trying to plant the bomb? I thought he was trying to scramble on top of Xbox for a second, but instead He's just going to hold this position on the A side. Unfortunately, it's an AWP and perhaps the perfect angle. But Flames with the one tap ends the half 10-5. Endpoint, it was looking dire in the first 12, but scrambling a couple back at the end before we go to a very short break. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to the second half right after this.
Under peach yellow skies, dreaming big and aiming high. Name the clouds passing by, wishing we run away. All we need is our passports, baby. Leave the rest in our troubled minds. Let us go down in laughter, baby. Trying to figure out what we're after. We're never heading back until we're older. We couldn't care no more, not any longer. Under peach yellow skies, we keep on searching, but we will never know what we're after. Baby, leave it all for the faded hearts. I don't mind if they call us crazy, 'cause they don't understand what we're after. We're never heading back until we're older. We couldn't care no more, not any longer. Under peach yellow skies, we keep on searching, but we will never know what we're after.
Half number 2, welcome back. Endpoint versus SKADE. We're just getting heated up here on Dust 2. A big half from the Bulgarians. A double-digit 10-round side to try and force us off to train to finish off this best of 3.
Well, it was looking like a very one-sided affair that could have extended further, but Endpoint did very well to recover it at the end. So a 10-5 half, certainly nothing to brag about, but not too bad in the grand scheme of things. With that dink coming through early on, that's actually going to force Crucial right back, and a heavy setup over towards B here for Endpoint.
Lots of damage has been dealt, and Mighty Max is the only player to receive the frags. Thankfully, he finds 2, but Short opens up in the meantime for SKADE to try and bombard this less heavily fortified bomb site. Endpoint, they put 3 towards B, and that might be the saving grace for the Bulgarians, as the C4 should easily slip away down on this site. Health advantage, Endpoint. But with all the players heading towards long, they have to contend with the P250 at least, and they do so quite rightfully. Spellin instantly drops, leaving Rainwaker Duplicate looking for these frags, but Duplicate takes tons of damage. Rainwaker needs to find all of these kills. Missing, whiffing on the second frag, finally nails it, but he's out of ammo, and Robin's right there to eliminate him. A 6th round, an all-important result for Endpoint.
That came incredibly close, but they're able to recover it right at the end there, just with Robin finding himself 3. And that's really beautiful stuff. A really swift retake. I actually really like their initial setup as well. They had a fantastic read on what SKADE were going for. So to put 4 men towards middle and B was a fantastic counter strat to that. But as soon as they lose that man on short, there's a huge gap in the defenses. They have to go for the retake, and they execute it quite well. So definitely too close for comfort, but it's that all-important round that they needed. And as they go into the second of the half, they should be able to take it.
Gotta say, Mighty Max, such an important member once again then. Endpoint do not win that pistol if he doesn't find those first 2 frags. This time, it's Surreal to get away with murder. Over towards the middle of the map, actually evades 2 scout shots. You don't often see Denny miss, but when he does, you've got to take advantage of it.
It gives them that man advantage. Of course, it's a pretty hefty investment from SKADE right now. They've got all the rifles and a fantastic flash adds complications to things. Duplicate still manages to find himself the kill as Mighty Max whiffs a little bit there, and Surreal is only able to get himself 1 in return. So a 3 versus 3 retake scenario on this notoriously tricky B site to get yourself back into. And with Robin on such low health as well, this is a tall order for Endpoint to pull off.
And Robin's got the kit. It could certainly go awry if he drops first on only the 8 points of health. That nade's not going to connect, but that shot certainly will from the Galil. Now Endpoint have a dilemma. They obviously know that Duplicate's up from that Xbox angle, but Flames only the 1 shot before backtracking, wanting to cling on to the M4 AK-47 combo. It will be SKADE taking another round, an 11th.
Oh, that is not what you want right now if you're Endpoint. After being 10-5 down, taking that second half pistol, you really hope that you can pull together a flurry of rounds off of it and pull the scoreline back to perhaps a 10-8 before it's back in contention with the guns out. Instead, it goes right back the other way, and SKADE, they're only 5 away from the closing point. This is dangerous stuff. And with Endpoint saving those 2 rifles, they are going to go for an investment once again here, but with only $1,600 on many of these players, I don't think it's going to be all too healthy.
I wonder if this is a tactical timeout from Endpoint right now. Definitely a key moment in this second map where they could instantly bust out. This could be a 16-6 for SKADE. We know that they massively favor that T side. It's actually a 20 to 30% disparity between the numbers of rounds they actually take on that T and CT half. But getting back into the action, we see the buys. It becomes evident that SKADE certainly have the better investment. The utility is looking healthy. Only 1 incendiary grenade for Endpoint coming into round number 3 of the half, and only a couple of rifles to work with as well.
Well, we've seen that SKADE have got the resilience to make these comebacks, but we haven't seen whether Endpoint have got that same kind of wow in the tank. Now as we go into this 3rd round of the half, of course, it is an investment once again from Endpoint. They've brought around these rifles. It's the Deagles on Surreal and Robin. Mighty Max down to that scout. They're going for a pretty standard setup. 2 men stacked up over towards short. They might be able to take the brunt of this initial engagement if the timing works out in their favor, but they actually fall off just before.
Yeah, that's Surreal and Crucial taking those initial firefights. They haven't spotted anybody out as of the 70-second mark, but with SKADE just holding away on mid, Spellin to receive that initial information, it's only the 1-for-1 trade, and I don't know who this favors at this point. I think it's probably advantage Endpoint, considering they only drop a Deagle, and the rifle able to eliminate Duplicate there and even take Spellin down to 14 points of health.
And even though they've given up this short corner control, with Crucial still on this corner, it's certainly still in contention. He hasn't dropped off yet. Finally, he drops with that flash coming through. He knows that there's a chance that he gets swarmed there and gets taken out, and he wants to try and keep this one into a 4-on-4. But with 30 seconds left on this clock, Endpoint have done a fantastic job at just buying time for the rotations to come over, and now SKADE are walking into a pretty stacked site. Crucial on the other side of this smoke, and Flames already hot on the rotation. This is going to be a difficult one with time ticking away as well.
With quadruplet reinforcements here, Endpoint need to stop this bomb from going down. They won't be able to contest oxygen on that A bomb site as Denny's able to sweep away a headshot of his own. Advantage SKADE, bomb away. Flames the only player with a defuse kit, and now Endpoint have another dilemma. Do they save? I think they do. Long control, not fully established considering Spellin is still back towards the T-spawn, and this is an angle that goes unchecked by Mighty Max. That's another rifle falling the SKADE way. Really unfortunate. As Flames, Robin sent packing towards the B bomb site, wanting to keep this double rifle alive once again. Probably for the eco into round number 19 here for Endpoint.
no one on that side can afford to invest anything around those 2 saved rifles. So they're going to have to try and do all of the work or carry across for another. And every single round that they either give up and fall back and save like that, or actually they go into with just an eco like this, is another round that SKADE get closer to that magic number 16. And as they draw nearer and nearer, this is where Endpoint start to sweat. This is, of course, their map pick of Dust 2, and they should be converting it.
And for Endpoint, they're just looking to get these rifles into powerful positions. I love the stack on short. Unfortunately, not being received favorably as Flames is cautioned off the angle. That Molotov's going to cause even further complications as Flames wants to get aggressive one more time. That triple kill was definitely on the table, but shut away by Rainwaker. 2 versus 2 out of nowhere, as I assume Mighty Max will try and rummage in for a rifle. He's got the Glock in hand, but it's certainly not the same as having an AK-47 or an AWP, which is ripe for the taking. He's watching towards the T-spawn, and with Rainwaker on the cross, unfortunately, the IGL misses the shot and leaves Robin in this 1 versus 2. Bomb isolated. And Robin, he knows the game plan. He'll be watching the cross from short. He's even got the body armor as well. But the double smokes go away. Should be a clean cross for the Bulgarians, as Robin does get spotted there. All of the information goes SKADE's way for Robin. He gets one more. It's a double spray down to put Endpoint onto 7. That is sensational.
A little bit of a blunder for SKADE to line up, and with that Molotov on the site, it provides the perfect cover for him to swing out and get that double spray down. That is absolutely beautiful in a round that they really weren't expecting anything. It's opened up with that double kill from Flames, and then the clutch right at the end there is just absolutely flawless. 7 now for Endpoint, 5 needed in a row to close up this scoreline. But that's a really important time to turn the tides here. Of course, if they'd have lost it, SKADE would have got themselves onto 13. And then you're looking at a 13-6 comeback when you really don't have a lot of money in the bank and your opponents have got tons of cash behind them. It becomes very, very difficult. This is their lifeline, and they absolutely need to seize it.
We always talk about pivot points in Counter-Strike, and that might be one for Endpoint there. Winning a round they had no business in taking and forcing SKADE into a real uncompromising scenario. Unfortunately, Crucial, he's the first to fall, and long control does go SKADE's way, aided by the smokes and Flames. If he wants to get aggressive, he's got a good angle there. If he had continued for just a couple more inches, maybe he does find Duplicate. Instead, he's forced away. Back to the A-bomb site, a player down.
Rainwaker does get dinked, but he finds the kill nonetheless. And this is now the 2-man advantage that SKADE were looking for. So they stack up towards long. 4 players there to take these engagements, and it's only Flames in CT to try and hold off these attackers. There's actually only a single smoke for the cross, so they are going to have to take a gunfight here. But a 4 versus 1 gunfight, now a 4 versus 2, will probably go SKADE's favour.
This cross is made almost impossible by the fact that there are no smokes down in a way, but with Oxygen finding both of those shots, round over, Surreal resigned to saving the AWP. That's information that SKADE are going to have, and watch these peaks come in unison here. The second man instantly through, that's Spellin and Oxygen there to receive the fight, and Oxygen with a triple kill to top off the round, putting SKADE 13 rounds above 7. Here on Dust 2, this is certainly looking like their game to lose at this point. And if the statistics are anything to go off, Endpoint only win 40% of their CT rounds here on Dust.
They're certainly not looking all too confident. Not as confident as they were on Mirage, which was their opponent's map pick. So really bizarre stuff that we're seeing so far here in this series. And yeah, they know that they haven't really got enough rounds to play with to afford to go on to a double eco here. They absolutely have to force up, but in doing so, if they can't convert it, they pretty much gift this one to SKADE. So backs against the wall, time to come out swinging, because if they don't, this is it. We'll be looking at that 3rd and final map.
That's what they're staring down the barrel of right now, and 13-7, Endpoint with a force buy to say otherwise. 4 Deagles, the 1 M4 for Crucial. And a bit of an A-site stack with just flames poking towards the middle of the map. SKADE everybody towards long, no control elsewhere. This will eventuate at the A-site, with Robin as that main man to receive the firefight. Nice check from Oxygen. Does find the flank there. And this will force SKADE forward. But I think Endpoint have all of the information. Expect all 4 players to be holding away at this pointy letter, ready to receive this aggression at the 40-second mark. Smokes away, and SKADE, oh, they need to hurry up. The flashbang's flawless, and Mighty Max, he's been crisp today, but that's a nice 1D even by his standards. The nade's not going to do all too much. The double smoke obviously needed for the cross. That's a standard here on Dust 2. With Surreal checking the angle, that's another deagle going Endpoint's way. They need a little bit more to stop this bomb from going away, though. And with 20 seconds on the board, this could certainly go towards the British organisation right now. Oxygen needs to be that point man, just holding this angle down. But lovely swing from Crucial. It gets swung back in Endpoint's favour. There's not enough time on the board for Denny to get anything done here. An 8th robbed away, and Surreal's able to eliminate Denny with the 1D after time. That is tragedy.
How on earth have they managed to pull that off? I mentioned it before. They seem to come out as soon as they have these deagle rounds where they really have to win them. They somehow just managed to pull it off. We saw it earlier on in Inferno as well against Forza, where Flames went huge with a 4K on one of those in one of those rounds where they just had the deagles to work with. And they do it again there. Such an important time to pull it out the bag. Now they need to continue it. Of course, just against the clocks as well. Look at how much damage that Molotov's doing. Every single man on SKADE right now sitting on that 30 HP mark besides Spellan. And this should lead to an easy cleanup. They have managed to find themselves 2 kills, of course, which for the Glocks isn't too bad at all. But the round certainly not in contention. Should be a pretty comfortable 9th here for Endpoint.
And it's wakey time if Endpoint are going to pull this back. They can't afford to let SKADE onto 14, 15 rounds, of course. That magic 16 as SKADE sit 3 away from the finish line. We'll see a full buy from the Bulgarians going into, again, this 23rd round. It's a very sketchy situation for Endpoint. They've got the MP9 out on Mighty Max. Don't think they've misread the economy. They saw all of the Glocks. It's just a lack of money for the CTs. I don't think they're going to be too troubled about this one, though. Of course, it's only the one SMG to play with. Everybody else with rifles, but leaving Max all alone on his B site definitely leaves a hole in the defense.
It certainly leaves a hole in the defense if SKADE go for it. A little bit of a whiff smoke there as well from Spellan. SKADE haven't really opted for this B site all too much on this T half. They do tend to try and take that middle control or maybe towards A. That MP9 can really be deadly in the B tunnels, and with Crucial finding that initial shot, that is absolutely beautiful. Gives them that man advantage, of course, but now SKADE start to push on to B, and Mighty Max has caught his pants down right in the open, looking the wrong way. Rainwaker gets himself another, and now the man advantage in the bomb site in SKADE's favour, and this is a safe call for Endpoint. They don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah, this is a done deal. No double digits for Endpoint. Instead, it'll be SKADE onto 14, clinging onto the rifles, and perhaps even expect the hunt to come through. Remember, SKADE, they're pretty much on map point if they're able to eliminate these rifles here. Instead, we see on the mini-map, it's just a silent hold. They're just going to watch these angles, not leave this 8th round of the half in contention, and instead just evaporate out to the back of B with 4 players alive. A very confident round. Double openings from Rainwaker there. We see him topping the rating on HLTV and almost topping the table in this server as well. We open the scoreboard and see that it is actually Oxygen leading the charge for SKADE. They've got 5 players who can step up at any moment and a very tight packing. Everybody on SKADE between 17 and 19 frags. You don't often see this tight margin.
Yeah, you really don't. Everybody is showing up to this one, and the same can't really be said for Endpoint. We saw Mighty Max in the first map pull off an absolute masterclass, getting, I think, about 30 frags there. It was beautiful stuff. And here, only sitting on 7. It can be very, very difficult to recover when who are just having a bit of a rough game. And SKADE this time, all stacked up towards long, all 5 men. No one taking control elsewhere, but they are about to walk into one of Endpoint's stacks over towards this site too.
That smoke grenade is the bait SKADE to watch towards the car position, and it might have actually worked here, but Endpoint need a player to swing to actually receive this, and SKADE will not hard check this angle. Instead, they'll just plunge their way onto the A-bomb site. C4 spotted, but Crucial needs a little bit more to prevent this Bulgarian bulldozer from claiming this A site here. Flames, he's hitting all of the headshots right now. Tremendous amounts of damage dealt, finally dispatched of, but there's Mighty Max finally showing up to the party. Only Oxygen and Rainwaker left as the no-scope comes through from Crucial one more time, leaving Rainwaker another 1 versus 3 to try and achieve, sandwiching onto short, but there's the flank from Robin.
I haven't been all too impressed with Crucial's AWP in the last couple of maps that we've seen from Endpoint, but here on Dust 2, he is flawless with it. He's not missing any of these shots, and they're just beautiful. He opened things up with a fantastic flick, then makes the initiative play as well to actually get up close to that smoke and go for that secondary no-scope. Really, really fantastic stuff. It puts Endpoint onto 10. Still 4 in a row needed to level out this scoreline, but they're certainly drawing closer to it.
Another tight map between these two teams. Very close cut. Remember, Mirage could have certainly went SKADE's way. Not if Mighty Max has anything to say about it. Quick nade on through. That's a tremendous amount of damage. Again, is Robin's able to pile drive for 2.
Leaves it all down to Oxygen and Spellan. In a 4 versus 2 situation, they have got the bomb in hand, but very, very little control, and they're kind of sandwiched in here. They could obviously backtrack around. They also could go through these mid doors, and that gives them a little bit more legroom to work with as soon as they realize that they do actually have that control. But making all of these sound cues is going to confirm to Endpoint just about where they are. Crucial, not quite connecting that shot. Flames needs to recover it, does exactly that. If he falls there, that's where things start to fall to pieces from Endpoint, but instead keeps his composure, finds that kill, leaves Oxygen in an impossible situation, a 1 versus 3, but he kicks things off with a bang.
Flames is right in behind as well, and that might just seal Oxygen's fate. He needs to eliminate Mighty Max first, and now Flames has to be very careful about this one. Oxygen just a couple of bullets away from securing this 1 versus 3 here. The smoke goes away, bomb salvaged, but Flames doesn't let him scramble away with it. 11 rounds for Endpoint.
That was a really, really smart play from Oxygen there to actually isolate those 2 kills, then get that Molotov onto the bomb to actually force Flames away, pop that smoke on and just try and grab it and get away. But Flames is far too smart and he's not going to allow it to happen. So Endpoint now, of course, on to 11. And as they face up against this full eco, they could close this gap even further.
This is certainly looking like a comeback opportunity. SKADE are just going to plunge into this A-bomb site a further time. And with this AWP just plucking Oxygen out of the air, this is clay pigeon shooting for Crucial. Spellan, Denny, nothing they can really do here. Just looking for a little bit of damage before round number 26 comes to a close. This is nicely contended. I didn't even see the bomb wrap into the B site. Endpoint certainly didn't, and that's a bit of bonus cash for SKADE. I love that from Spellan as well. He just skates his way into upper B tons. He's looking for a cheeky final kill. Knows that with only a Glock and body armor to boot, he's got no opportunity to get the job done there on the B site. Instead, he'll wrap away looking for that rifle. Won't be able to salvage it as Endpoint close this gap.
Actually pretty crazy that they're able to get that bomb plant, and quite impactful too, because off the back of it, they've now got just about enough cash to go for an AWP if they want it, and there we go, it's on Denny. So York, a single smoke grenade in his hands. Now they've got all the weapons to contend, but they absolutely have to win this one. If they lose it, Endpoint should be able to level out this scoreline. If they win it, they should be able to close out the game. So this is one of the most important rounds of this entire series. Let's see which way it swings.
At the 90-second mark, it's just long control for Rainwaker to start. He's been the man opening up with headshots. 18 frags and 18 deaths to his name. Even Stevens for his scoreboard as he's trying to run the fake towards the A bomb site. We can see it's a ruse with 4 members of SKADE heading towards the curly letter and Mighty Max there to find the initial frags. He needs to connect with some shots here. Instead, backtracking, caught with an aid in hand, but the Bammers are back in ground before he goes down. It's even Stevens once again. SKADE a 3 versus 2 scenario. Spellin and Denny incredibly low on HP. They need to rely on the AWP to get the job done and to open this one through. That's not going to happen. Crucial with the flank. Spellin's looking the wrong way. He turns 90 degrees, but it's a second too late.
Absolutely perfect stuff. Really well played from Surreal there as well to find that initial kill, get back behind those doors and actually just play for the cross. Bide some time for your teammates to get into position. That's going to be their 13th and possibly an easy 14th here as well, as the investment from SKADE isn't looking all too healthy. The Eagles and Kevlar on a couple of these guys. Spellan, the only man who's really putting too much cash into this one with that AK in hand. But with only a single smoke and flash on Duplicate, I don't see all too much happening here unless they can land some crazy 1-deeks.
I wonder what the game plan is here for the captain. Obviously, that aforementioned rifle picked up. It's the only one that SKADE have to work with. Maybe they feel like this Endpoint CT side is a little weaker than we can see doing the eye test. Just one kill opens up either one of these bomb sites. You see quite an aggressively stanced Endpoint here. Flames receiving the angle. Nade doesn't do nearly as much damage as it could have, but this one, oh, it might just nail in. It gets blasted as SKADE lose about 150 HP on the engagement.
They were really hoping that that first point of contact man was going to go for the fight and they'd be able to find that initial pick. But as soon as they go for that run boost, the Molotov just goes down and they're forced right back. Now, still a 5 versus 5, but no HP on any of these guys as they head over towards it B site and try their luck there.
That's so unfortunate as well. Surreal, just with a timing shot onto Rainwaker. And the only rifle in the server is going to fall for SKADE. Relying on the Deagles now as Duplicate trying to pipe in some damage. He does so with the double headshots, but there's so much more work to be done here. And with a flash on through, he has got a head glitch angle. Flames needs to be incredibly careful not to peek this one. Rely on the cross, and there's Crucial. You talked about him earlier. He's been stunning, and that's another one to add to the tally. 26 frags for him.
That is fantastic. Of course, SKADE making that one very, very expensive for Endpoint, but it doesn't really matter all too much. Endpoint were just hoping to win the round there. They've got enough cash behind them that they can reinvest, and they're just happy that they're on 14. This one, once again, going the full distance at the very least. And let's see which way it goes as we sit 14 to 14. We go into round number 29.
We will go to all 30 rounds once again, 2 maps in a row, and if Endpoint can pip SKADE to the post in this double header, that would be incredibly impressive. Just a bit of mid-control here for Spellin. As SKADE don't want to give anything away. You see Oxygen just watching towards the long double doors, waiting for any aggression. It's not going to come considering Flames is just watching from the receiving end. Orc doesn't connect, but that nade certainly does. Spellin back to half HP.
The utility usage from Endpoint so far this half has been absolutely incredible. Look at this. The HP on SKADE right now is scarce, and not a single engagement has been taken. No bullets have been fired. It's all just down to these grenades and Molotovs. Right now, SKADE, 50 seconds on this clock, looking like they are going to go over towards A through short.
I'm getting deja vu. This is the tactic Endpoint employed in about 12 of their T-sided rounds. It didn't work out for them, but SKADE looking for a different destiny here at the 35-second mark. They have got Flames to watch towards long, but nobody to receive that angle, and the HP chipped away from the Bulgarians as they're trying to pour into the A site. The AWP connects, but Oxygen, he's going to respond likewise. Robin there to find all 3 of those frags. Flames also chips through, and Denny, what can he do? There's 10 seconds on the board, and saving the AWP might be the best bet here. He's locked in by the incendiary grenade, and Mighty Max is going to finish off the job. Match point for Endpoint.
This is really incredible stuff. I talked about it much earlier on in this game when SKADE were firmly in the lead about the fact that, do we know whether Endpoint have got it in the tank to pull this one all the way back and actually close it as well? They've managed to pull it all the way back, of course, but are they able to close it here? They're just against the AKs, a single Galil from Spellan and very, very limited utility, and a fast B hit coming in from SKADE by the looks of things. Maybe they slow it down. I got really excited there. Maybe they slow the pace down a little bit.
This could go either way. Surreal on the angle, double spray down, and Mighty Max there to respond. All 4 frags going Endpoint's way as they do it again, M&J. Back-to-back 16-14s, and that has got to be soul-crushing for SKADE.